Hello, everyone. My name is Nipul Choksi. I run marketing for the D&B Digital Solutions Unit, and I'm really excited to be the opening act, if you will, for a great customer of ours, Intuit, who will be sharing their experiences in how they're able to leverage data and insights to really what successfully what Sirius calls marketing to accounts. Applying the same account-based marketing principles on a larger scale so that you can engage and convert your targets in a more effective way. And so with that, let me turn it over to Michael, who will introduce himself, tell you a little bit more about himself, as well as the journey that he's taking Intuit on in order to drive the company to commercial success.
Great.
Michael?
Great, thank you. And so as mentioned, today we're going to talk about how can we win with really our mid-market focus on an accountant-first approach. And so just for a little levity, I wanted to share with you my experience. I've been with Intuit for about 15 years. About a year and a half ago, we did a team offsite, and I thought it'd be a great idea at the young age of 40 to be the rock star. And so I grabbed this guitar, jumped off, and Google nicely made a meme of it. And so what you can see is my left knee actually buckling. I tore my ACL. I had 2 surgeries. Luckily, I'm back to running and getting on my bike, but that would be fun as a starting point. Let me tell you a little bit about Intuit. We have been around for a long time. We sell TurboTax as well as QuickBooks, just to give you some reference. We annually have a $5 billion in revenue. Today we have 8,000 employees worldwide, and we service 42 million customers. When we look at who we're targeting or who our customers are, our goal is to unlock the power of many for the prosperity of one. What this means is we're focused on small businesses, the self-employed, as well as consumers for TurboTax. And these are the different areas of focus. So accountants, developers, governments, etc. As far as our overall goal, it's personalized experiences. It's having a trusted and open platform so third parties can be part of our infrastructure, as well as indispensable connections. When we look at what the customer benefit is that we're trying to share, it's making sure that customers have more money, so they have instant access to their money. They can save more money. They don't have to work within our product, so they never really have to enter manually the data. It's done for them and it's done right. And this will build complete confidence in our tools as well as understanding their business needs. And so what I'm going to be digging a little bit deeper into today is our mid-market and how we're focusing there and how it's changing the way we're going to market. And so we have ambitious growth. We have ambitious growth this year as well as next year. And the 3 areas we're really trying to be successful in is 1, acquiring net new customers into the mid-market space. 2, it's making sure that we share with our current desktop customer base why they should be considering an online subscription in order to drive incremental revenue as well as to support those small businesses. And then 3rd, we want to make sure that we have a growing relationship with our existing customers so that they're aware that we're able to service them in multiple different facets. And that means payroll, payments, as well as our just a suite of small business opportunities. Now, when we look at mid-markets, we wanted to make sure that we had a vision on how we would go to market with this plan. And so it really is a marketing to accounts approach. What's powering our vision is this, 1 to a few engagements. And we want to look at this in 1, providing personalization in real time, providing relevant experiences to our customers, and doing this with a kind of a cross-channel approach. So what we've learned is we need to involve the web team, search team, social, as well as our email marketing team. And then we can't forget about sales and care, and not only including them, but bringing along for the journey. And this is really how we plan to, and we have been getting to our value and sharing our products with prospects as well as customers. So just to level set with everyone on the call, wanted to make sure that you see, hey, we are taking a Sirius Decisions demand waterfall approach. It is not account-based marketing. I know that is a key term, not only this year, but last year as well. The approach that we're taking is a marketing to accounts. And the reason is the mid-market space that we identified is much larger than, let's say, one-to-one us, for example, marketing to Bank of America and creating creative for them. It is effectively identifying a specific persona. So we've identified a few personas within the mid-market space. And then how are we providing them with specific personalized information? So how are we identifying them from an industry level, revenue level, employee level, and then engaging with them? One of the other areas that we want to make sure, especially with our outbound sales motion and outbound engagements, is you can't only identify those customers that have a good persona, so they might look like the right customer. You also need to identify timing. And so this graph is a little blurry, but what you'll notice here is where you really want to target, and what my old CEO would say is in God's country up here in the green. So not only are they the right fit, but they're ready today and interested in our product offerings. And see, this is where you can see that as you look at the personas, it whittles down to about 5% of the people that are the right timing and the right fit. And so as we're looking at personalization, we want to make sure that we're building our personalized engine. And so this infographic or this information is really to help you understand, hey, we're trying to identify our visitors and our traffic. First, making sure that we have a customer data platform that can track not only current prospects, but also our customers. What are they doing? Not only within our first party data, right? So what are they doing within the products? What are they interested in? Are they sending invoices, for example? Are they adding employees? But it's also leveraging tools that Dun & Bradstreet offers, which is identifying third-party firmographic information to not only enrich our customer data, but also to help with identifying that persona. Second is really instrumentation. So how do we, in order to do this type of work, we also need to provide a infrastructure to do that. And so improving our tech stack to allow us to do this web personalization, in-product tracking, so on and so forth. And then lastly, what we're looking at is activation. So how do we build those cross-channel relationships? How do we provide a speed to benefit, and really ensure that we're abiding by compliance. As a global company, there's California CCPA, there's also UK has their own preferences and privacy compliance as well. And so making sure that we abide by that. And so wanted to make sure that everyone was aware on the call, how is Dun & Bradstreet really supporting this vision? How are we leveraging them? And we're leveraging them in 3 different areas. First is with data, right? We're able to identify leveraging their platform, what we call Dun's numbers. It's the Dun & Bradstreet number that can identify the small businesses that we're targeting. Also the cross-channel activation, so building the integrations that we need for personalization. So we can do, paid media targeting, and I'll go into this a little bit further in the next few slides, but also sales outbound, de-anonymization, et cetera. Then the last is augmenting the identity. So how do we make sure that we are identifying attributes, that we're really delivering actionable use cases against our different customer sets? Now, going back to the demand waterfall, there's 4 areas that we wanted to do a deep dive in. And really data and insights plays a critical role in this. It's one, it's identifying and prioritizing the total addressable market. It's creating awareness and interest based on that total addressable market and who's showing intent. It's increasing engagement, and then it's accelerating that conversion. And so first, it's identifying and prioritizing the total addressable market. And as referenced before, we leverage Dun & Bradstreet in order to identify this market, so we know who to go after, how we can segment it by size of the business, annual revenue, number of employees, industry, etc. Second is, how do we create awareness so everyone's spending money on social as well as just online acquisition. And so when we're looking at ads, it's not only sending a generic ad, but it's once we identify the specific customers that we're going after, the industries. What you'll notice here is manufacturing as well as contractors are some key industries that we want to target. And so we'll provide this personalized to industry advertisements with some key benefits for that type of business. Also, what's beneficial is we can then track, hey, how are these different personas, how are these different industries performing? And this will allow us to say, hey, it's worth more for us to spend money on manufacturing, for example, and this advertisement versus another industry. Next, once we've brought the customer in, they've hit our webpage, the process should flow through, right? So Dun & Bradstreet and the personalization engines allow us to then, one, identify that prospect, know what industry they are, and we're presenting specific web pages. So as a contractor, this is what is beneficial to you. As a manufacturer and wholesaler, another small business, we want to make sure that the products and the offerings that we have are unique and personalized to that business. Also, once the customer or prospects hits that web page, we want to remarket to them. And so again, making sure that we're providing content, usually owned content that we've written that can continue that conversation with the prospect. We also want to make sure that we're increasing engagement. And so what you'll see here is, how do we score that customer? How also, one of the things that we're doing with our web pages is de-anonymizing the web traffic. So if we identify net new customers, instead of just remarketing to them, how do we identify a contact, email that contact within the small business, and then potentially even call them using an outreach or outbound sales approach. When the sales agent gets the lead or opportunity, we also want to make sure to provide them with the right information. And so this provides within Salesforce as well as SalesLoft the ability for them to see, this is the type of customer they're talking to, this is the engagements they've made, this is the marketing that we've sent them. And so how are we thinking about success within this program? We have had success with increasing our customers. We're building the confidence and trust with these consumers because we're catering specifically to their industry. So they understand relatively quickly how QuickBooks and how our mid-market products will relate to them, right? Increasing the customer value. So they're using within the product the tools that they should as a manufacturing or wholesale customer, or within legal, what apps they should be attaching to the product in order to have the most success. And fundamentally, this is helping drive our business goals and help not only the customers, but also Wall Street. Now, what are the key takeaways that we've had with this program and we're continuing to gravitate towards in the future? One is we constantly think customer back. If you know anything about Intuit, we have follow me homes. We make sure to engage our small businesses and customers as much as we possibly can in order to gain insights. One of the key things, which I think is stated often in conferences like this, is, hey, you need to build cross-functional teams. I can't stress this enough. Having marketing, having the folks that do the pay-per-click, build the web pages, sales teams, channel marketers, all in the same room to make sure that there is a cross-functional marketing approach, as well as a customer engagement approach, even down funnel for lifetime value, is of extreme importance and something we do weekly. Also get an alignment on what does good look like, what is the successes that you're trying to do at each stage of the funnel and the entire program. You need integration. So there's a lot of technologies out there. If you don't have alignment with your commercial tech team, you're not going to be successful. A lot of this requires an AI engine, customer data platform, etc. And then when it comes to sales, I think everyone can agree to this. They don't like being told what to do, and so bringing them into the conversation, making sure that you're showing them the value that you're providing for them, and not just telling them the value, is really going to help with buy-in. And that's it. I'm hoping to answer some questions for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. That was really, really great. I think as marketers, we're always looking for different ways in which we can engage with our buyers in a more personalized way, in a more relevant way. And I feel like the kind of the 4-step framework that you laid out here in terms of figuring out your TAM, employing digital tactics to get people to be aware of your brand and to come to the website. Finally, then kind of making sure that you're accelerating that engagement so that they get to a point where they're ready to be engaged with sales. I think that's a really good example of how we can do that. I'm seeing a set of questions kind of coming in here. And so I'm just trying to see. So one, we actually saw this in the other session earlier today as well. This is something, the current events are definitely on everybody's mind as marketers. Are you able to share how Intuit from a marketing and sales standpoint is handling the COVID crisis and how you're, kind of pivoting in terms of driving value for the business?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, especially within Intuit, small businesses are the heart of our business, right? And there's a lot of businesses that have been impacted, obviously, by COVID. And so one of the things, especially on the sales side, is making sure that be sympathetic, right? And so when we're emailing prospects or customers, adding information about COVID, the fact that we're there for them. We had our marketing team actually create a page dedicated to, as a small business, what should you be doing? What are the governments as well as the local support that they can get? Another thing that we wanted to make sure is we partnered for giving loans to small businesses. And so one of the things that Intuit allowed is encourage their employees to make sure to donate to the small businesses around them to support it at that local level. Also, as everyone knows, with PPP, so the different loans that the government is offering, we made sure that we were able to provide that service and provide loans to our small businesses. And so they were able to submit and gather loans from the government, leveraging our services. We also made sure to rally and have some of the sales teams ready to answer any of those questions.
Awesome. A couple of other questions here. In terms of, so there's some questions here around metrics. So I know you talked earlier about like the different ways in which you think about how your digital initiatives are successful, increase customer, build trust and confidence. Is there anything you can share around specific metrics you guys are looking at in terms of leading indicators as well as impact metrics?
Yeah, we can't necessarily share exact metrics, but I can say some of the things that we're looking at is attribution, right? So one of the keys to that technology integration is what is the customer doing throughout the life cycle funnel, throughout the demand waterfall, right? And so leveraging that information As I shared earlier, that can help influence which markets we bid on. Are the profiles that we actually created, do they still resonate with purchase, right? As well as, hey, with each step, there's specific target information that we're looking for. So time on page, how did they engage with the specific content? When we hand it off to the sales agents, it's conversion rates, it's lead to sale, as well as we're looking at from an agent perspective, how are they going through the cadence funnel? So are they actually following the emails? The emails that the agents are sending, what is the open rate, click-through rate, as well as response rate? And so the great thing with the sales tools that we're using is we can track that information, as well as tweak and multivariate test with the different emails. And so end to end, we're really doing micro testing as well as trying to track each part of that funnel so we can improve it across the board.
Okay. Another question here, and I think this dovetails again into one of the key learnings that you talked about, which is around alignment. Can you talk a little bit about some of the challenges you had there and how you address those? Because as marketers, I know we're all familiar with, it's not the easiest thing in the world to get everybody rowing along the same direction. When you start engaging with executives, sales, different parts of marketing, and so on. Yeah,
sure. So I'd say this time last year was really when we tried to adopt some of the process of cross-functional, cross-marketing approach, the marketing to accounts approach, and so it's been an issue for years. So you're not alone if you're a big business or a small business. Getting people to have the same strategy and alignment is definitely difficult, right? And so it started with our senior leadership. Our senior leadership had specific objectives. They said, hey, we want to win in the mid-market space, right? And that includes technology, that includes just getting that customer adoption in place. We realized relatively quickly the way we have our team set up, even within marketing, are siloed, right? And then commercial technology was siloed. And doing that, you can't really get the attribution. So if you're doing a mass email, right? So marketing automation, and you don't necessarily tie that to scoring and assigning it out to the sales team. If a customer does X, Y, and Z, you're really losing conversion. Right? You're losing conversion at that level. If you're not remarketing and at the same time doing that marketing automation, you're missing a channel, right? And so the team got together. We identified key stakeholders within each one of those different marketing channels, as well as sales and care, and said and gave them a seat at the table, right? And again, we meet once a week. We review our goals, make sure that we're on pace, on track, that we have testing, share out the testing and results of those tests so that we can pivot and tweak the products, the web page, our bids, right? As well as just which leads we're handing off to the outbound sales as an outbound sales motion, which has really revolutionized, I think, the way we think about our customer, right? And it was really a customer back approach that we took, because having a disjointed experience as a prospect or customer just doesn't make our company look great. If they're getting an email from our marketing team, and at the same time they're getting an email a day because we assigned it out to a sales agent, and we as Intuit didn't realize that we did that. And so this has kind of stopped some of that bad behavior, I would say, within the organization.
Awesome. It looks like our time is up here, and so for the folks whose questions we didn't get to, we will respond back to you asynchronously via email. The Dun & Bradstreet team is also available to meet with folks. We've got a virtual booth in the Premier sponsorship area. And also just want to make sure everyone's aware of some other case study sessions that are happening that are as insightful as what Michael was talking about with Intuit. Just different examples of how companies are able to leverage data and insights to really take their digital strategies and tactics to the next level in order to drive pipeline and accelerate revenue. And so with that, thank you, Michael, for doing this, and thank you for everyone else for coming, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Great, thanks, guys.